The number on your offer letter looked bigger before taxes touched it. After they're done, it's about $2,100 a month landing in your account. You learn fast that the world has a way of pricing people, and that the price isn't money, it's friction. The apartment is quiet, ordinary, the kind of night nobody would ever film. Everything you need takes longer, costs more in small ways, and asks you to wait. You call to dispute a $40 charge that wasn't yours. The line puts you on hold for 51 minutes. The voice that finally answers is reading from a script and isn't allowed to remove it without a supervisor. And the supervisor is in a meeting. You give up, not because you were wrong, but because the hour cost more than the $40. You learn to absorb things. Absorbing things becomes a skill you didn't apply for. You go to the doctor for a pain that's been there 3 weeks. The visit lasts 7 minutes. He doesn't sit down. He writes something, says it's probably nothing, and the door is already half open. You leave with a bill for $230 and the same pain. You don't go back when it gets worse. You wait. Waiting is what the world quietly asks of you at this level, and you've agreed without noticing. You apply for an apartment. The agent runs your income, and the math says you make 2.8 times the rent, not 3. She says they'll need a cosigner or 2 months up front. You don't have a cosigner. You move into the place that didn't ask, the one with the long drive and the neighbor who plays music through the wall. A beat of stillness before the party scene. The ordinary weight of the level settling in. At a party, someone asks what you do. You tell them. The conversation finds a reason to move 3 feet to the left. You watch it happen and pretend you didn't. The world isn't cruel at $30,000. It just doesn't lean in. You crossed into a number that feels like it should change things. It changes some. Your card gets approved without the cashier glancing twice. The landlord stops asking for a cosigner. You're allowed in the building now, just not the floor with the view. You take your card to the shop. The man behind the counter sizes you up in the time it takes to say good morning and quotes you $900 for a repair. You later learn costs $400. He isn't lying exactly. He's reading you. He sees someone who can't afford to argue and can't afford a second opinion, and that math becomes your price. You pay it because the car has to run by Monday. The world charges a tax for not having time, and you're still paying it. You fly somewhere for the first time in years. You board last in the final group and walk past the people already seated with drinks in their hands. Your bag costs $40 to check. Your knees touch the seat in front of you for 4 hours. Nobody is rude. You're simply processed. Your luggage that paid to fly itself. You start dating someone. It's going well until they see where you live, and then it isn't, and they never quite say why. At work, your manager calls you reliable. He says it like a compliment. You start to notice that reliable is the word they use for the people they don't promote. You do good work, and it disappears into a number on a spreadsheet you'll never see. At $55,000, the world acknowledges you. It just doesn't pursue you. Something in the air changes, and it isn't you. You buy a slightly nicer car, the same one your coworker drives, and the salesman who ignored you 3 years ago now walks you to the door and shakes your hand twice. You call the same customer service line. This time, somewhere in the account, a flag you can't see marks you as worth keeping. The hold is shorter. The voice offers to waive the fee before you finish explaining. You don't know what changed. Nothing about your problem changed. Your file did. The world started reading you as a customer it might lose, and losing you suddenly costs them something. You see a different doctor, a private one your new insurance allows. He sits down. He asks how you've been sleeping. He spends 20 minutes and orders the test the 7-minute doctor never ordered, and it turns out the thing 3 years ago was something after all. You think about how long you waited. You don't say it out loud. The thought just sits there. You go to a dinner with people from work. Someone asks what you do, and the conversation doesn't drift away this time. It leans in. People remember your name on the second meeting. You get added to the email chain you used to hear about secondhand. The promotion talk includes you now, quietly, in rooms you're not in. You're not chosen at $90,000. You're considered. There's a difference, and you can feel exactly where it lives. The shift is no longer subtle. The world starts opening doors before you reach for the handle, and you catch yourself wondering how long they were unlocked. Your bank assigns you a person, a real one with a name and a direct line, who calls on a Tuesday to ask about your goals. The same institution that left you on hold for 51 minutes now dials your number first. The mortgage you assumed was years away arrives in your inbox pre-approved. They decided what you could afford before you decided to want it. You walk into a store you used to browse and not buy in. Someone greets you within 10 seconds. They bring you the thing in your size without being asked. The car you total in a parking lot accident gets handled by an adjuster who calls you sir and resolves it in 2 days. When the same company took 3 weeks the last time you filed, you're not paying more for insurance. You're paying for a tier of attention, and the attention is the product. You notice people repeat what you say in meetings, and the idea lands differently coming from them, then lands differently still when it comes back as yours. Your time starts getting protected by other people. An assistant, a scheduler, a buffer between you and the friction everyone below you still swims through. You stop waiting in lines you used to live in, and you forget the lines exist, because the world stops showing them to you. At $150,000, the friction doesn't disappear. It gets handed to someone else. You're no longer a customer the world serves. You're an account the world manages. And the difference is the difference between being helped and being kept. The doctor isn't a visit anymore. It's a relationship. You have a number you call and a person who answers. And the test results come with a phone call instead of a portal you have to log into and decipher alone. You fly and turn left when you board. Someone takes your coat. The 4 hours that used to crush your knees now come with a seat that becomes a bed. And the person who is processed in the final boarding group is somewhere behind a curtain you don't think about. You mentioned to your banker that a competitor offered you a better rate. He calls back within the hour with a number that beats it. The institution that ignored you at $30,000 now competes to keep you. And the competition is quiet and constant and entirely in your favor. You buy a house, and the inspector, the lawyer, the agent all move on your timeline. The closing that takes a normal buyer 6 weeks of chasing takes you 11 days because someone made a call. At a dinner, you're no longer asked what you do. People already know. They looked you up before they shook your hand. The conversation starts 3 steps past where it used to start. You realize the world has stopped testing you to decide if you're worth its time. It decided. You're not pursued at $300,000. You're courted. The relationship stops requiring you to show up for it. It comes to you. The banker doesn't email anymore. He drives over. He brings printed reports in a leather folder and asks about your estate, your timeline, the children you haven't had yet, and the foundation you mentioned once over coffee. You stop being offered products and start being consulted. A product is something they want you to buy. A consultation is something they want you to need. And needing them is worth more than any single sale. So, the selling becomes invisible. You don't see it happen. You just notice you've come to rely on them. You call about a problem and it's solved in the same conversation. The way problems were never solved at any level below this one. The fee that drained your account in the $30,000 years isn't waived now. It simply never appears. You get invited to a dinner the bank hosts. 8 guests, a view of the city you've never seen from this height, a speaker, and nobody mentions money the entire night. Money is the table the night is built on, not the thing anyone says out loud. You walk into a restaurant without a reservation, and a table appears. You don't ask how. You stopped asking how a while ago. The world has arranged itself so that the things other people fight for arrive at your feet already arranged. At $750,000, you're not a person the world serves. You're an asset it protects. You don't have a banker now. You have a private one, a title that means something specific inside the building. He manages fewer than 20 people, and you're one of them. He knows your kids' names. He knows the dog's name. He knows about the surgery your father had because you said it once in March. The rate on your loan isn't published. It's negotiated in a phone call. The investment minimum that turns away ordinary money gets waived because the relationship justifies it. Paperwork that takes a regular client 2 weeks gets handled in a single afternoon because someone was told whose file it is. You walk into a branch you've never visited and they know your name before you sign. Not because you're famous, because the system flagged you across every location to make sure no one treats you like a stranger. You get sick and the care comes to your house. The doctor sits in your living room. The test gets run privately. The results read to you the same day. The specialist who has a 6-month wait list finds an opening on Thursday. The world has quietly removed the word wait from your life, the same word it spent years asking you to live inside. You're brought deals before they're public, offers structured around your participation before you've agreed to participate. You stop applying for things. Things apply for you. At $2 million, the world doesn't follow its own rules with you. It bends them, and it does it so smoothly, you forget the rules were ever there. You don't have a relationship with an institution anymore. The institution has organized itself around not losing you. Somewhere in a building, people's careers are partly built on your name, and they don't know it, and neither do you. But the math is real, and it shapes how every door opens before you reach it. The deals are written for one person. Sentences drafted to your timeline. Terms negotiated in a single call. Investments brought to you before the world has heard of them. But the real change is in access. It's influence. The people who once charged you $40 for being broke now ask your opinion. The head of a division flies out to ask what their next tier of clients should expect. You're shaping the thing that once didn't lean in when you told it what you did for a living. You walk into rooms with no logo on the door and a table made from a single piece of wood. The deal discussed there won't appear on any prospectus. The room exists because people like you exist, and it only opens when the relationship justifies it. The world doesn't price you anymore. It consults you about the price of everyone else. You realize sitting in that room that you are the same person you were at $30,000. The pain in your side was the same pain. The hour you lost on hold was the same hour. Nothing inside you changed across the entire climb. What changed was the number next to your name, and the number told the world how far to lean in, how long to make you wait, whether to read you as a problem or an asset or a partner. Somewhere right now, someone is on hold for 51 minutes over $40 that isn't theirs. They're absorbing it the way you once did because the hour costs more than the money. They went to a doctor who didn't sit down. They walked into a party and watched the conversation drift 3 feet to the left. They don't know yet that the world isn't broken. It's reading them the way it reads everyone and pricing them in friction instead of dollars. The world doesn't change at every income level. It reveals how it was always going to treat you the moment it learned what you were worth to it. You are the same person at every number. The world just decides how close to stand based on what's written beside your name.